A very good afternoon to you. This is TV Sapienza on Star Times Channel 260. Today is Thursday, the 7th of August 2025. My name is Joe Igbo. In our news headlines this afternoon, the West African Examinations Council WAEC has temporarily shut down its result checking portal due to technical problems. The Executive Secretary of the Anambra State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, Mr. Paul Odenigbo, has disclosed that all the residents in flood-prone communities of the state have been well sensitized about the impending flood that is expected this year. The Anambra State Internal Revenue Service AIRS Special Squad has arrested 5 more illegal revenue collectors, comprising 4 men and 1 female. And rice farmers in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital, have said incessant rainfall threatens this year's rice production and harvest. Now the details of the news. The West African Examinations Council WAEC has temporarily shut down its result checking portal due to technical problems just hours after releasing the 2025 WASI results. The announcement posted on WAEC's official X account yesterday noted that result checker portal waecdirect.org is temporarily shut down due to technical issues. The statement said the council is working assiduously to ensure that candidates are able to assess their results in the next 24 hours. The development has left many candidates unable to view their long-awaited results. Frustration has mounted on social media, with many users reporting error messages and website timeouts. Meanwhile, WAEC did not disclose the exact nature of the technical failure, but assured the public that restoration efforts are underway. The disruption comes barely a day after WAEC officially released the 2025 WASI results on Monday, sparking high online traffic as thousands of candidates rushed to check their performance. Governor Chukwuemeka Soludo of Anambra State has officially confirmed the appointment of Professor Omenugha as the substantive Vice Chancellor of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University. A release signed by the Press Secretary to Governor Soludo, Christian Abure, said the formal appointment letter was presented to Professor Omenugha by Professor Soludo, Secretary to the State Government, at a ceremony held at the Lighthouse in Oka. Members of the Julius Abure-led group of the Labour Party LP have protested at the national headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC in Abuja against the omission of its candidates' names for the upcoming elections. The protesters demonstrated against INEC's decision not to publish the names of LP candidates submitted by the Abure group for the Federal Capital Territory or FCT area council elections and some upcoming National Assembly by-elections. Chanting slogans and waving placards with different inscriptions, the protesters marched around the INEC premises under the watch of security operatives. Meanwhile, the leadership of the Labour Party has distanced itself from the protests, warning that the action was neither authorized nor recognized by the legitimate organs of the party. In a statement signed by Ken Eluma Asogwa, Senior Special Advisor on Media to the Interim National Chairman Nimadi Usman, the party described the protesters as impostors and political impersonators. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has set admission criteria for underage candidates in the last Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. In the 2025 UTME, 599 students scored 320 and above, but were not qualified for admission due to age, as they were yet to reach the mandatory 16 years. Inaugurating the committee to oversee the process of admissions for the underage candidates, the JAMB registrar, Professor Ishaq Oloide, said between now and September, those who would scale the hurdle from the 599 candidates will be announced. Speaking at the sidelines of the inaugural meeting of the committee members in Buhari, Federal Capital Territory, Professor Oloide said that any candidate who scored below 80 in the post-UTME was already out of it. The JAMB registrar noted that the committee meeting had the virtual presence of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian universities, regulatory agencies, some critical stakeholders and experts in education. Although they urged parents to desist from desperation to send their children and wards at tender ages into tertiary institutions, saying that children needed time to develop naturally and mature. Rice farmers in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital, have said incessant rainfall threatens this year's rice production and harvest. The farmers expressed their concerns in separate interviews with newsmen yesterday. They spoke amidst persistent downpours that have led to flooding, waterlogging, and crop losses across major rice growing areas in the state. Amid the heavy rains and the attendant flooding, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) has warned that 21 states are at a high risk of flooding this season. Meanwhile, a prominent rice farmer in Izi local government area, Mr. Emmanuel Mwale, said nearly half of his rice farm had been submerged due to the heavy rainfall. Mr. Mwale said it has been raining almost daily since mid-July, and rice farmers may not expect a bountiful harvest this season. Another farmer, Mr. Chinedu Okemwa, said he lost his nursery beds to flooding. A private agricultural extension expert, Dr. Paul Onwe, noted that rice is highly sensitive to prolonged flooding. The Anambra State Internal Revenue Service (AIRS) Special Squad has arrested 5 more illegal revenue collectors, comprising 4 men and 1 female. Those paraded in Oka were Ms. Chiamaka Okafo, who was arrested at Aba, Njikoka local government area, Joseph Japhet Uzochukwu Oraneku, arrested at Ifitedunu Junction, Chinecherem Wankwo, arrested at Ukpo, both in Dunukofia local government area, as well as Chinedume, who was arrested at Okuzu Junction. Parading the suspects, the commander of the AIRS Special Squad, Mr. Nathan Obikwelu, revealed that Mr. Ome had been arrested and jailed before for the same offense, and was released after meeting his bail conditions and has been rearrested for illegal revenue collection. Mr. Obikwelu said the suspects will be charged to court immediately, adding that those arrested for the same offense last week have all pleaded guilty and were jailed 6 months each at Onitsha Correctional Center. The primate of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Dr. Henry Ndokoba, has announced the breaking of ties with the Church of Wales over what he described as a grave departure from biblical doctrine following the election of Right Reverend Cherry Van, an openly lesbian cleric, as Archbishop of Wales. Speaking at the Anglican Chancellors, Registrars and Legal Officers Conference in Abuja, Most Reverend Dr. Ndokoba described the development as an abomination before God and a dangerous deviation from Christian orthodoxy. The primate said the Church of Nigeria does not recognize the so-called Archbishop of Wales and cannot share communion with a church that has departed from the teachings of the Bible. Ndokoba said the Anglican Communion was more resolute and committed to the stance of the Church of Nigeria against homosexuality and heretical teachings in the Communion. He maintained that the Church's decision was in line with its uncompromising stance on biblical authority and moral standards, adding that the election of a practicing lesbian as an archbishop is not only a departure from the faith once delivered to the saints, but a defiance of God's order. The federal government has called on Nigerians traveling abroad to register with Nigerian embassies and consulates in their host countries to enable timely intervention during emergencies. The appeal was made by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Dunoma Ahmed, during a meeting with the Diplomatic Correspondence Association of Nigeria, led by its chairman, Idehai Frederick, at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. Ambassador Ahmed stressed the importance of informing Nigerian missions upon arrival in foreign countries rather than waiting until problems arise. He said this simple step can help prevent misunderstandings and ensure that Nigerians receive the support they need in times of crisis. President Bola Tinubu has expressed his condolences to President John Mahama and the government and people of Ghana following the helicopter crash that claimed the lives of Defense Minister Edward Omane Buama, Environment Minister Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, and 6 others. President Tinubu assured President Mahama and Ghanaian citizens that the thoughts and prayers of the government and people of Nigeria are with them during this time of profound national loss. The president urged the Ghanaian nation, the bereaved families and friends to find comfort in the knowledge that their loved ones died in the line of patriotic service to the country. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Omenugha, says the President prays for the peaceful repose of the souls of the departed and strength for those left behind. The Executive Secretary of the Anambra State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, Mr. Paul Odenigbo, has disclosed that all the residents in flood-prone areas of the state have been well sensitized about the impending flood that is expected this year. Odenigbo said the state government had prepared a haven for those who would be affected by flooding, adding that personnel were on the ground to evacuate affected residents when the floods became unbearable. He said the water would continue to rise daily, adding that the Anambra State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, has prepared its staff on the best ways to mitigate the flooding. The SEMA boss said the holding centers are ready, fumigated and being prepared for occupation by people who may be affected by the flood. To end the Sapientia TV news at 1 p.m., a recap of the major headlines. The West African Examinations Council WAEC has temporarily shut down its result-checking portal due to technical problems just hours after releasing the 2025 WASI results. The Executive Secretary of the Anambra State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, Mr. Paul Odenigbo, has disclosed that all the residents in flood-prone communities of the state have been well sensitized about the impending flood that is expected this year. The Anambra State Internal Revenue Service, AIRS Special Squad, has arrested 5 more illegal revenue collectors, comprising 4 males and 1 female. And finally, rice farmers in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital, have said incessant rainfall threatens this year's rice production and harvest. That was the Sapientia TV news at 1 p.m. On behalf of the editorial and technical crew, I am Joe Igbo. Good afternoon and thanks for choosing TV Sapientia.